How's it going, fellow grumps? Time for the second Grumpy Old Gentleman on Film marathon, and I've decided to watch the first two films. I watched one last night, one the night before, and I decided to watch the films that James Higgins picked for me, DVD collector 1974. He chose the original Nosferatu from 1922 and the remake from 1979. So, all right. So it's been a very uh, creepy vampiric experience. All right, so let's start off with this first one. Now, I've seen this not that many times actually. Um, how many times did I ever see this on the big screen? I think that I did, but maybe not. I honestly can't remember. But um, I've only watched the DVD. I think now a total of three times, and I've said this before. I think, well, maybe I haven't said this before, but I was never a big fan of this movie. I certainly liked it and had great respect for it, for what it symbolized and all that, and for the effort put into it. But I never was that big of a fan. So I watched it the other night, and I enjoyed it thoroughly in a way that I never had before. I don't know why it's different now, but it is. I totally got into the imagery, the creepiness of the story, the cinematography, all of it I thought was brilliant. So I'm very glad that I watched this again and have a new appreciation for it. So everybody knows, I guess, that Nosferatu, the film, is based on the novel Dracula, written by Bram Stoker. Now, by the time this was being made in 1922 in Germany by director F.W. Murnau, Bram Stoker had already passed away, and the rights to his work had passed on to his widow. And when she, they tried not to violate copyright issues and all that by changing some of the details of the story, the names of characters. For example, Count Dracula becomes Count Orlok. Jonathan Harker becomes a guy named Hutter. His wife is also named, has a different first name and last name. And the character of Renfield is changed to something called Knock. Okay, but that wasn't enough to satisfy Mrs. Stoker, so she actually went to court and tried to have every copy of this movie destroyed. Luckily, that did not happen, and it survived. Many copies survived, and now it's considered to be a masterpiece. So Max Schreck. I've never seen a picture of Max Schreck outside of his makeup. So I need to look for that. I don't know why I haven't looked for that before. Maybe there are no pictures available, but very fascinating movie that, as I said, I found myself enjoying it much more this time than I ever had. And thank you, James, for encouraging me to watch it, because I may not have watched this again for a long time. So let's get to the remake by Werner Herzog, another German film, 1979, Nosferatu the Vampire. Okay, this was Nosferatu the Symphony of Horror, and this is called Nosferatu the Vampire. And I think I read that the original title was going to be Nosferatu the Phantom of the Night, which also works pretty well. This is one of the most brilliant, effective, atmospheric horror films I have ever seen, bar none. It is absolutely fantastic. Now, I had to send away for this when James assigned me this film, and very very happy to have it. But I wasn't necessarily looking forward to watching this again. I had only seen this movie twice, both times on the big screen. I did not see it when it came out in 1979, but 20, 30 years later. I think the last time I saw it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, not sure. But it was such an such a heavy, depressing experience that I would always say that this is not a horror film that I can enjoy watching. It's just way too heavy. There's something about this movie and about the way Klaus Kinski, who plays Count Dracula, they changed all the names back in this version from Orlok to Dracula. Jonathan Harker is back. Renfield is back. And something about the way Kinski looks in here, about the way he acts, similar to the way Max Schreck looked, who looked like a rat in his makeup. There's something about this that just, there's an overall feeling of sickness and decay in the entire film, and I don't know how to describe it. I guess that's the atmosphere that Herzog was going for. it is just a fantastic movie, and the imagery is so strong, combined with the effect of the music, which is very dramatic, that it's almost too heavy to watch. So I watched this again the other night, not looking forward to it, but I did watch it, and I found myself enjoying it. Maybe because I knew some of the things I was going to be seeing, it was still very effective, but it wasn't so overwhelming that I thought, God, get me out of this theater. You know, it was a very very good experience to watch it again, and there are so many things about this that. Well, it's basically the same story as the original Nosferatu, although a few things have been changed. For example, in the original film, the character of Hutter, aka Jonathan Harker, does not turn into a vampire at the end of the movie as he does here, and his wife is pretty much the same kind of character development of the wife, although in this version they gave her the name of Lucy, whereas in the original her name is Mina, and in this one the character of Mina Harker is actually a very minor character, doesn't appear very much. So that's some of the things they changed. And of course the original novel Dracula. There were a lot of things that were different from the novel and in the play that came out and the film that was made from the version of that play with Bela Lugosi. So anyway, one thing I did want to, I read something about the opening scene. If you remember the film, and I'm pretty sure that most of you already seen this, that the film opens up with scenes of these decayed bodies. And I wasn't sure that they're really horrifying. It goes on for a few minutes while the opening credits are starting out, and it's just very. You wonder if they created these out of sculpture or something like that. I wasn't sure, but I found out, and maybe some of you already know this, but Herzog actually filmed that sequence himself in a museum in Mexico, a place called Guanajuato, the mummies of the Guanajuato Museum. They were naturally mummified bodies of victims of an 1833 cholera epidemic. And Herzog, he had seen that before, and then he went back to use them for this film, and he actually had them taken out of their glass cases where they're usually stored and placed them in this thing that looked like a cave. And I guess they're supposed to be in the film, it's not said exactly, but they're supposed to be victims of Count Orlok or Count Dracula. I don't really know, but what a way to open the film. And that just totally establishes the feeling of sickness and decay that I said I felt throughout the whole thing. So yeah, when I read this and I found out that no, these were not creations, these were actual sick people who died. Wow, fantastic. So let me not go on much longer here because it's 8 minutes, but highly recommend both of these films for anybody who hasn't seen them, but I'm sure that everybody in our little grumpy gentleman group has definitely seen these and probably likes both of them. So thank you, James, for getting me to experience both of these again. It was a positive experience, and I do appreciate it. Up next, I'm not sure which two films I'm going to watch. I don't have my list here with me, so carry on, guys. Looking forward to seeing everybody's videos. Take care.